Welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and critically fumble a lot. We're not missing as many people as it looks like we're missing. Noms is going to be coming in halfway through. We just didn't want to go a whole month without having a session of some kind. Antheus is doing Easter stuff with his family. Happy Easter, by the way! Or whatever solstice, spring is here rituals that you personally use, because it's all down to the resurrection and cycle of life. Anyway, previously, the Cupcake Coterie are kind of overnighting in Belarys on their quest to get the materials needed to have their Steel Singer friend forge a dragon-slaying weapon, or maybe more, you never know. They had a brief stopover interlude as there were some issues with their friend's parents, who were in some kind of Armageddon cult. It's not the first time that at least a couple of the individuals of the Cupcake Coterie have dealt with this particular apocalypse cult. They managed to put a stop to what they were doing, incidentally murder the living hell out of Alice's heavily tainted parents, and then went to then after a bit of a shopping interlude, went to Remi's parents for dinner. Heading back to the Bravo's Boast, where they're staying overnight. Remi so looks at the market, which is winding down but still doing some trade, and goes, "I need to do a thing. It's not a big deal. It's just Tritherian stuff. I'll meet you guys back at the Bravo's Boast."
Okay. Let us know if you need us for anything.
How?
I don't know.
I'll be
Do you want Becky
fine.
to go with you so you can come get us or something?
No. Alice is just like,
Alright.
I'll be fine. It's just Hazel, you explain. And heads off in the general direction of the temple locket, the fastest walking clip her short little legs can manage.
It's a faith thing.
Clank, 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 clank.
No, she's out of her armor.
Oh, that's right, she's out of her armor, I forgot.
Yes.
Alright, so
Tritherian's kind of a weird one. The retribution and that kind of thing tends to be a... Besides, I have a feeling that it might not just be that she's asking about.
Oh.
So...
Well, she clearly needs a little moment to herself, so we'll respect that.
And Antheus is... Froseth is just... Yeah, I remember moments to myself. Those don't happen very often anymore.
Well, when you're travelling with a party, I suppose they don't know.
When you're traveling with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're... I have a feeling this isn't what most people consider company. This is more than company. This is... excessive.
This is family.
This is the perpetual group hug that is Hearth Home. Just mobile.
I have no response to that. But
silent image, a whole bunch of people holding on to each other and walking down the street.
Oh no!
Those look none of those look anything like the kids at Hearth Home. Also, since shops are still open, we did a lot of shopping, but there are some things that we didn't do.
Oh, speaking of that, remind me. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but Hazel had it. But if there was anything else that you wanted to be, because we're leaving tomorrow, so.
you remember when you guys mentioned, I forget who it was, reforging my sword?
Yeah, that Alice is like, yeah.
Was that here? Was that
No,
somewhere
no,
else?
that was back in Goldendale.
We're gonna do that when we get back.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure anyone could do it, but there's doing it and there's doing it right, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about
one
it.
person who would be able to do it right.
Let her talk.
I've
She's
been thinking
opening
a lot
up
about it, and I mean, it's not much. There's not much point in me keeping a sword that belonged to my family if I can't use it properly. So.
Well, you're look at it as forging a new legacy rather than just changing the sword. You're not the broadsword whack 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 thing anymore. You're more
Well,
direct.
I never really was. That was more my father. But
as a family, I mean.
Oh.
You're more targeted. You're more precise. You have a very specific goal.
That's true. Besides, this was my father's. I think it's only right that I make it my own if I'm to use it.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, you want that done in Goldendale, not just any old blacksmith.
Right.
But yeah, no. Diamonds is probably the thing. And meantime, you know they do enchanted arrows, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder if they did those, because I mean, I remember these, and I'm pulling out one of the enchanted bolts.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it's the same principle. Yeah, what she's pulled out is one that's sort of lightning crackling at the tip.
I haven't used them yet, but you could definitely use the supply back into the bag.
Yeah, they tend a little toward the costly, but
well, especially because you only use them once. Don't want to waste them.
And at the same time, if you get something that's weak to something like that,
that's true.
Make use of it. But yeah, no. Even if you decide not to go for that, the diamonds are kind of a priority. We haven't exactly had the best of luck with that kind of thing. But I mean, we picked up those black diamonds, which weren't like cursed or anything, so that should probably go a bit towards. And I chucked the amount that it spent on me your way, so that should help things a little bit.
Yeah, gives me a total of whatever these diamonds are worth. These weird black diamonds are worth, and city platinum.
Black diamonds aren't that weird. They're just really rare. Jewelers tend to pay an absolute mint for them.
Awesome.
You know, put them in the right setting and they look pretty damn good.
That's precious stones for you, I guess.
Well, some are worth more than others, but colored diamonds tend towards the rare. They're just not very useful for cleric shit.
Yeah, because they're not properly purified or what have you.
So, Temple Lock is probably your best bet, because they have deals with the actual jewelers in the rest of town, but they'll have the pure, chunk of raw diamond that you need for that kind of spell.
Diamond time.
Maybe you don't want to say that quite that loud in the middle of a market.
Good point, yes.
Particularly, didn't people get pickpocketed?
Yep, I remember.
Yes,
So I'm going to actually get there. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
As they're walking, you've got Flitty sitting on Nye's shoulder, and in Sylph.
I'm keeping an eye out for any people giving us suspicious looks, like like they're gonna try something funny.
Okay. The perception check. And
Let's roll. Come on, please be good, just for once.
yes, Flitty is sitting on Nye's shoulder, and
20.
yeah, and it's they're. If there are pickpockets, they tend more towards the hanging around the taverns and the like. You do spot particularly particularly lively tunes and such coming out of the Book, Bow and Dragon, which is a larger pub right smack in the middle of the market square. That Hazel in particular is just sort of looking at the sign with the kind of squee. The sign being a trio of halflings, one blonde woman holding a glowing crystal, one brown-haired, probably a man, but you're not entirely sure, holding a bow, and a redhead with a fairy dragon sitting on her shoulder.
What is it, Adel?
Hmm? Well, what? You want to know why that?
Yeah. You've been staring at it.
Mama, Lyra.
Oh. Really?
As far as I'm given to understand it from Darvin, her parents, well, one of her mothers started and two of them ran the quick flight diminutives, one of the more infamous little mercenary bands. Emphasis on little. Their entire roster was the shorter races, halflings, gnomes, dwarves, and they had a tendency to sneak in and spy and sabotage and blow shit up into places where a beefier merc company couldn't go. So they'd open up a gap in the lines to let another mercenary company exploit. At least, so go the tales.
Beaming with pride.
Come on, then. Better keep moving.
Yeah, they've been moving, but it's Hazel doing the craning her neck backwards and probably walking into somebody at least once.
What
Sorry.
shit?
Sorry.
Hazel, which way you going?
And throughout the walk, you've got Flitty trying to be a fairy dragon bard and telling the tale of how he helped by casting a mirror image on Froseth once, trying to explain how he did it. I bet you could.
Who?
It is looking at Nye. It's just.
Oh.
I don't
That
want
might be
to.
rather useful.
I don't want you getting beaten on anymore.
Well, it wouldn't really have helped the last time I got majorly beaten on, but maybe the times before that.
Yeah. Every little helps.
I know, that's why I have a shield now.
All kinds of things so that you don't get bunked so much.
This is a word?
I just
is
said
now.
it. I just said it, didn't I?
The less you
My
get
own-
boffered, the better.
My own personal Flitty just showed up.
Hi, buddy.
All right, Flitty, let's talk later.
Okay. I'm just gonna sit and hug your head.
Dragon wrapped around
I
his head.
scratch his back as I go.
Eventually, you get into the temple lock proper, having given Remi time to clear out for her own temple. As the name would suggest, there are multiple temples to the various gods of the world. Unlike anywhere in Baronsphere, there's a broader selection. There is, in fact, a temple to Bahamut, which you don't get in Baronsphere. Their worship tends more towards the strictly human gods. Equitas as a whole is a bit more cosmopolitan, and for obvious reasons, Bahamut is a relatively significant figure. But, you know, there's also shops, various holy bits and pieces, and the kind of gear you would expect clerics and paladins to be using that aren't strictly weapons and armor. Then you got Alice going, I'm gonna stop in here for a couple of bits for your steel singer. The Diamond Away. I think there's a place, a couple of shops down that way.
Okay.
All right, let's have a look.
The shop that you find is, and it is a jewelry shop, but if you've ever seen one of those shops that's very specifically dedicated to Christianity, those Christian bookstores and that kind of thing, I think they're probably more common here. And it's a similar sort of thing. This is largely a shop that deals in things that are of Palor. So, holy symbols, various blessed bits, and they're obviously not keeping diamonds on display, but there is ask about spell components on a sign.
Squee, in I go.
It's a nice
I
enough.
follow.
It's a nice enough place. Smells of incense and a little bit of cedar, and the individual behind the counter is a human, older gentleman, looking at the lot of you as you come in, and immediately directs attention to Hazel.
She kind of stand out.
Well, if nothing else, you can always see she wears her holy symbol everywhere. So it's look at you all and
As
then
a cleric should.
fixate on the holy symbol. Can I help you?
There's your sign said spell components.
Our sign says spell components.
Are they in stock?
Could you be more specific?
Oh, sorry. I need diamonds, specifically about about 300 gold worth of diamonds.
And what spell are you using this for specifically?
Revivify.
Okay, so you're going to want probably solid chunks. You'll be less tempted to spend it that way. Let's see what we can come up with. By all means, browse around. I'll be right back. And heads into the back.
Thank you. I'm just gonna look around.
Yeah, basically any of the spell components for the usual gamut of cleric spells. there's a specific bent towards the life domain here. But anything that's not too expensive to be left out on, out on the shop, you can find if you browse around.
Ava's just looking around a bit, sort of, what is this? Because she doesn't know what most of this stuff does or is.
The gentleman comes back a couple of minutes later and produces two. They're raw. They're fairly unpolished, but it's a chunk. It's two chunks of diamonds of around the right size for each being 150 gold's worth.
Ooh. I know this is going to sound a little ridiculous to be asking after you've already brought all this out. Is there enough maybe for 2 instances of that?
It looks at the 2 instances that he's holding.
No, I mean like 2 batches of 300 gold's worth.
We can do 3. We can't do 4.
Oh boy. Well, I'll take the 3, I guess. I'll have to do something about the last one, but
Why 4 in specific?
because I want to be able to cast it more than just the once.
Hang on a minute.
300 is the total needed to cast it once.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, we've got our wires crossed here because having gone through the book, it requires 1 solid chunk of diamond that meets that price. But I'm gonna look it up anyway because
Yeah. Like, diamond's worth 300 gold.
okay. I'll see what we can come up with effectively, but keep in mind that this is very much a mercenary city, and people would prefer to spend 300 gold on a Revivify on the battlefield than otherwise. And honestly, I understand I'm not your senior cleric, but I'm fairly sure that whoever your senior cleric was may have mentioned the virtues of preparation to you.
Yeah.
Ask for what you want. Think about what you want before you ask for it. You inconvenience others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. I realized that I'd said it almost after. I'm sorry.
Pat.
Just sort of shrinking a little.
I will see what can be arranged. And I do apologize, but given the precedent that you have set here, I would like to ensure that you are actually equipped to pay for what I am about to go and collect.
Are you producing the 60 platinum?
Okay.
I'm just setting that down.
Hold on to that. I will be right back. I will see what I can find. It tromps off into the back with the chunks of diamond that he did originally pick up, and is just shaking his head. And you hear this quiet mutter of, "What are they teaching kids these days?"
And the whole time, I'm just like, just watching this bemused with this bemused expression. Just
He was just narrowing her eyes slightly at where the wound woman, no, ma'am, sorry, disappeared too because she found that a little bit rude.
Hazel, however, probably remembers this from various of the clerics at Mount Palor. It's actually better than she's had a few times.
Yep.
So you see Hazel half shamefaced, half yeah, I deserved that.
That's why I'm just sort of. This is I figure this is cleric stuff, so I'll just let Hazel do the cleric thing, and I'll just watch and see how deep into it Hazel gets. That's pretty much where Darwin's at right now.
Thankfully, not too far so far.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, he's suitably impressed.
Meanwhile, one very quiet elf trying to be one with the wallpaper or equivalent material.
It's more shelves. This is still a shop. It's difficult to be one with shelves.
Vertically, anyway.
No, you cannot be horizontally one with the shelves.
Oh, God.
If you try, you're getting booted out.
Again.
Which would be fair.
Usually it's the bard who puts their DMs through this much shit.
Silent image. Nigh horizontal on a shelf. Caption: price upon request, elf on a shelf.
The gentleman comes out as this
It was not
is,
you.
and just looks at Hazel.
I'm sorry.
Ignore him.
Looks at Nye. Palor is very much about light and life and forgiveness. It is also about respect. That is not respectful. Please remove the spell and leave.
I grab him and pull him outside.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Actually, that was directed at Nye. Just thank you. Have a good day. He did what was asked. It's fine. And he's come out with two 300 gold chunks. Better?
Much better. Thank you so much.
This is going to be one of my last sales of the day. I suppose I should probably be impressed. Usually it's usual routine. This, for all its mild aggravations, is at the very least, in a sense, entertaining. You're fine. You seem to have, like seems to have called to like in the form of doofus.
Yeah, that's fair, sir.
Packages up the raw diamonds in each in its separate bag, hands them over to Hazel, scoops up the platinum. Thank you for your custom. Have a good day. Palor's blessing on you and yours.
You as well.
And I just sort of do that and walk out with Hazel.
Yes, and call. You are probably one of the more respectful bards I've ever met. Thank you.
And I just nod and keep walking.
Oh, God.
That guy took no shit.
I walk out and I'm just
Palor is also a god of justice. It's not just Tritherian.
I see.
And besides, given the age and the general, venerable elder of him, that was probably that cleric had probably seen battle at one point. I mean, it's Belarys. Most of them have.
I come out of that like not like rapidly losing color, but very quickly going from like normal Hazel to that was just all the panic finally venting.
Hazel, you handled that very well.
Yeah, you did pretty good. Calm down, breathe.
Breathing
Breathe.
is helpful, yes.
Remember what we talked about? Breathe. Relax.
Diamonds in 2 bag.
Yeah, LSA comes out of the shop.
And you, Nye. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You've got to be more careful.
I have a call to chaos and mischief. It's part of who I am.
And I'm the bard.
You just sit there, be confused, and then make a song about it later.
No, well, yeah, okay.
Until that part about the song, I wasn't sure which of us he was talking to.
I must admit.
LSA comes out and looks at this, looks at the lack of color in Hazel, rummages around in her haversack and holds out a small bag here.
Eh? Looking.
There were these sort of honey and hibiscus tea things that you got at Mount Palor, little sweeties, much like Fursa's green tea globes. You've never seen them done anywhere else, but there they are.
Thank you.
I asked if there was anything specific to the main cleric training centers, and they gave me that.
And already having one in order to attempt to calm down.
I seem to have been prescient. What happened? Who did the stupid?
Me and...
But no thumbing at Nye. You were fine.
Let me guess, you were a little bit scatty and you got one of those do no harm, take no shit individuals.
Yeah.
You did
like that.
you did the stupid, pointing at Nye.
That about summed it up.
It wasn't like tremendous stupid, but it at least got him sort of told to please go away.
Let's say it got a little cheeky.
It was interesting to see.
Though to Nye's credit, he did exactly as he was told and
That's fair. That's true.
left with it, and no further incidents. So, bravo there.
Yay, Nye.
Yep. Badly timed, but appropriate response.
Well,
Dude, you okay? You're making that face again. That's your self beating up face.
please don't make that face. I will hug you.
She will, you know it.
Yep.
Just stops mid-word and looks.
Hazel, hug him.
Let's just say that some jokes should be made like
Don't let him
Like-
breathe, Hazel.
Like full on lifting him up off the ground a little bit.
Hazel,
Can you do
remember
that?
people
Yeah,
need to breathe.
she's got second highest strength of any of y'all.
Oh, okay.
Very strong. I'm basically like jester level strong, but kind of compact. So he's
So
just
low
going
sense of-
up.
So low center of gravity.
and
It's-
Flitty's still on my head through all this.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit and hug your head.
Just wrapped around your head.
Look- Up at Flitty, down at Hazel, looks up at Flitty, looks down at Hazel.
Carefully putting him back down and then letting him go.
Hazel,
He's let go. He's let go. She's let go
just,
now. But yes,
just for future reference. Don't forget people need to breathe.
I have not forgotten that.
but yes,
did.
just to cover it for you, Ethan, the God Squad is the strongest of all y'all.
Oh, okay.
That's Remi, Hazel, LSA.
This doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
It does make sense.
The God Squad.
Your device.
You realize I'm gonna have to work that into a song now, right?
I did at one point a limerick came to mind. A cleric decidedly odd, a paladin recently thawed, and a street rat with wings who occasionally sings. They each fight with the might of a god.
I like it. I like it.
This sounds like it's gonna be the rest of our evening, isn't it?
What? Hugging elves in the street?
Hugging elves and limericks.
I mean, there are worse ways to spend the evening.
Anyway, was there anything else we needed to do before turning it?
Find a jeweler to figure these out.
Oh, those black diamonds, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jewelers are more in the market lock. The ones that actually deal in jewelry. Not that that was ever my area, but I can point you in the right direction.
It's a
That
start.
would be amazing. Thank you, as usual.
Well, with Remi, Remi dealing with faith stuff. I guess somebody has to take over as the tour guide.
Greatly appreciated.
You are awesome.
Okay, we're getting into too much territory now. Thank you, and walks down towards the market lot. And yeah, you
Is she walking ahead of us?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I catch up to her real quick?
Yeah.
Do you mind if are you okay?
More or less.
You know,
I mean,
everything.
I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. It's been a weird day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, if you ever need a, like vent or whatever.
it's appreciated. I'm trying not to so much because yeah, I know parents and everything, but for you it was like some asshole took yours. I never really had them, and
Yeah,
they were the assholes.
Right.
That's why one slays them.
Yeah, but I mean, like it or not, though, you still killed your
Yeah.
parents. That has to sort of
Well, Dad, I was not the one who got the killing blow on Mom.
true.
And
But
besides,
still.
if you listen to Hazel, he wasn't actually my dad anyway. She considers the solar that was responsible for this. I mean, you might have noticed that there wasn't a whole lot of family resemblance.
True.
That made things weird growing up. So,
Mm.
all I know for sure is that I do appreciate it. I know I probably don't sound like it. As you can probably tell, I grew up kind of different than most of the rest of y'all, and my immediate response to shit going down is the shields come up. Probably why I get on so well with Remi.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a weird context for you. So.
yeah, pretty much. So basically, all I'm doing is focusing on, there's a forward, and I don't know what that forward is gonna be yet, but I get the impression that it's linked to y'all, because
It's for now, anyway.
well, I don't know about you, because you seem chill, and chill is good.
I'll try.
They need some chill, because you've seen them, yeah.
Yeah.
The reaction that there was to my just leaving in the first place were bad enough. Because now I haven't just pissed off a god. I've pissed off a god and an Armageddon cult. So, I may as well stick with the other people who've pissed off the god and the Armageddon cult, because
Strength in numbers, yeah.
I was gonna say ride or die, but okay.
and that.
But
Yeah.
no, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm not really a venti type. I guess the answer to your question is kinda okay.
I get that.
There are some definite compensations. I mean, adorable flaily people and well-meaning bastion of mischief and chaos that desperately needs both exposure to the world and protection from the weirdos that are his patrons, and quiet shiny over there, and mistress of chill, and then there's Remi, and that's another thing, and we don't talk about that, not much anyway. So there's compensations, and while we're here, you've passed by a couple of food stalls, and I know we did the dinner thing, but there's a thing y'all gotta try.
Okay.
Wanders out a couple of stalls, and what you see are you've all seen shish kebab. I think you've all had it at a pub at least once while you've been in Equitas, because it's a kind of a big deal. This is similar, except it's kind of a dessert kebab. It's got chunks of waffle and squidgy things that you will recognize as marshmallows, and chocolate dipped fruit, and
Oof. That sounds like a lot.
well, you basically tell them what bits you want on each, and they put it together for you. It's something that needs to be tried. Froseth is kind of looking at it like,
What is this cotton candy abomination?
well, you see him considering it, and then just probably unexpectedly in character, but out of character, probably thinking to his big little sister and going, "Thank you. Yeah, okay. I'll try this."
Nye is thinking back, but not saying anything, to the caramel apple, and how he almost would have preferred it without the caramel.
Well,
Hey.
you can get the fruit not dipped in stuff.
Darwin's just going, I'll have one of everything.
I'm with Darwin on this.
I'm like, if we're gonna try it, we're gonna try it right.
You guys get this long ass stick with chunks of waffle and chocolate covered strawberries and chocolate covered bits of apple and marshmallows and a little dipping thing of maple syrup and
Oh God.
I'm just looking at all this, going, this is gonna take so much prestidigitation later.
And my expression, meanwhile, is the I can see through time expression.
Yeah, and you haven't even started in on it yet.
Exactly.
This is anticipatory sugar rush.
Surprisingly, Furseth does actually go for the full works as well, with a look of, I don't believe I'm actually doing this. And so it's trying to figure out how to eat it because snout and teeth, and then just sort of holds it out and delicately pulls chunk off with the.
Yeah. Nye looking around at that, peer pressure strikes.
Come on, it's supposed to be finger food or walking food, but in reality, no. And she also, when she settles down, she's also got a tray of hot chocolates with tiny marshmallows.
He was just gonna go with the waffles and chocolate covered fruit. She's gonna go a bit smaller.
Well, yeah, she's got the marshmallows and the hot chocolate already, so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's sufficient.
Ooh, waffle s'mores.
I'm now
Oh,
attempting
God,
to
that
make
sounds
my
like
way through about half
crack.
of this thing at
Oh god. I actually want that IRL now.
How long is it-
Damn you.
I just want waffles. Waffles
how
are
quickly
cool.
can I get through about half this thing before the sugar rush hits me?
Oh god.
What do you roll
God.
for that?
Make
Probably 2 bites.
make me
Constitution.
make me a Constitution roll.
Oh no.
It's a Constitution check, not a save this time.
Time for fun.
Oh,
You actually get through the entire thing and are not that buzzed.
You
I-
actually
I-
ate the whole thing?
I can't decide if it hasn't had an effect or if it just hasn't had an effect yet.
Oh god. That's...
well, there was a lot of fruit on that, so
Well, fruit still has sugar.
that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it takes a minute.
Nye picking off one at a time.
Yeah, it was going bit by bit.
I'm
Basically made like a
attempting
corn on
to
the
pull them
cob.
off, but yeah, there's still chocolate getting in places, and like, well,
Well, the chocolate dip fruit has solidified a bit. It's
Oh, my
more
bad.
it's more the when you dip the waffle bits in your maple syrup cup.
gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I'm now full of sweet stuff and vaguely sticky. Prestidigitation, going to make it
I'm like going to
better.
pat him. to see
Gling,
how
gling, gling, gling.
Gling.
I didn't get any in my hair.
Before,
Also- Contemplating hot chocolate cup.
try it. Try
Have you ever
it. Try
tried
it.
I'm just.
Have you never tried hot chocolate, Mike?
I don't think chocolate was a big thing where he comes from.
I already have scooped mine up
You should
after
go for it.
chanting at him.
Don't worry, go on.
Nice.
At which point you just get Alice watching him chug the thing and then victory.
Was this the kind of hot chocolate that has a little bit of foam?
Yeah, probably.
Foam mustache.
Yeah.
And nobody tell him.
Darwin's just like,
Yeah, he was like, same.
And for more of it.
Incidentally, just so y'all know, the entire inspiration for waffle kebabs is those things exist.
What?
Yeah.
Nope.
Stall in Camden Market. I don't know if
I
it's still.
remember that place.
Oh, it is still there. Great. Okay. Well, it was still there the last time Smeagol came to visit. But yes, the waffle kebab exists.
well, I know
Yeah,
where
I
I'm
was
going.
watching them put one together. I was just like,
you would love Camden. You really would. You have to come and I will take you to Camden. Smeagol can verify.
all hell, Camden Locks District. Woo!
Well, let me know next time you go and I'll join you.
Okay. At the rate things are going, I am going to be able to travel out of the country very soon, actually.
Imagine if we can all gather.
I was just about to say.
Wouldn't that be amazing, though?
I
Have a
mean,
session live and in person.
Don't.
I know.
well, if we do it far enough in advance, this thing is
Mm.
this whole campaign is taking a while, and if we plan it enough in advance, and ask the others and see how we go,
Maybe.
why not?
Mm.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, we'll discuss that a bit more later on, but yeah, once you've had your snack, sort of. So, thoughts?
It's actually amazing.
Victory!
I always wanted one of those things, but real food kind of took priority. So
Well, as it should.
And now it has been had.
and you always think that these things are gonna be a disappointment when you're an adult, but not so much. Awesome. Anyway, let's hurry off before light closes. Given that you're dealing with black diamonds, you're probably gonna want one of the more upmarket places.
And
Yeah. Walks you into the bespoke district. So you see a lot of bespoke tailors and I mean, this is the kind of thing that Ava and Darvin have a little bit of experience with. More Ava than Darvin, because Darvin was more on the minor end because his mother married a commoner, as it were. But
I'm still like making note as we pass by the various tailors. I'm just sort of just looking at the work with an appraising eye, just out of habit. I try to not let my background creep in, but sometimes it still does.
And I'm just sitting there, as I'm getting led through, I'm like, whoa. And just sort of thinking I'm basically like alternating between sort of internally going, that would look good on Kezi, that would look good on Clarity, that would look good on Kezi, that would look good on Clarity.
Aww.
Probably a bit pricey though.
oh, more than a bit. This is
This is astronomical levels of money.
this is where your really high end mercenaries go. And here we go. Stops in front of a shop with a sign on that just reads Celine's. The jewelry pieces in the window are gorgeous. They range from everything from the really ornate filigree stuff to stuff that is so simple it's just glorious in its simplicity. Currently, the display is largely pearls and rubies.
I'm going to very carefully enter the place, because I'm like almost afraid to come into contact with anything.
The gentleman behind the... Sorry, but you rolled, so I'm wondering what came of that.
Staying outside.
Might be wise.
Sometimes I am.
He makes his own rolls for that, so... Okay, yes, the gentleman behind the counter actually reminds a little bit of Belarys over in Goldendale, for those of you who've met him. Rather elderly looking elven gentleman, but less the wearing the crazy old man thing. He's very, very upright, very well dressed, very well groomed hair, but very much showing his age, so he's a few hundred years old. And he's looking at you guys, and funnily enough, because Alice is actually probably the best dressed among you, because she's still wearing her wine red thing. Is it? How can I help you? Points at Hazel. You want to talk to her? I'm just looking.
We came across, well, these, and I'm going to produce the black diamonds. And we're looking to get them, I guess, appraised and possibly sell.
Raises an eyebrow. And unless you're making an insight check, it's impossible to tell whether impressed or not.
I'm keeping a close eye on his face, actually.
Since I'm right in front of him,
So
can I make an insight check?
Anyone who's inside and wants to make an insight check can do so.
Yeah,
My insight would be very insightful anyway.
I had intended to. If I can get the thing to come up.
8.
He is incredibly hard to read. Fucking elves.
12. Hard to read.
Fucking elves.
Hold on. I'm trying to get there. It's acting odd on my end. It's very slow. I don't know why. Insight.
Fucking elves. The dice alone were 16, okay? None of you beat the base roll. Anyway.
And I've got an 8.
So, that was not a very good roll. Actually, he's looking at it. Nope. even for Alice, hard to read. Fucking else. And pulls out a jeweler's loop and investigates each one very, very carefully. $400 gold the lot.
Do I have any feeling as if that seems fair? Or...
With that insight check, nuh-uh.
Nah.
Okay.
Scoops them up. He gives you, he'll give it to you in platinum. It's pretty clearly his default in a place like this.
Plus, it's easy to carry.
Yeah.
Would I have any idea what black diamonds are worth? Yeah, black diamonds.
How much platinum is that?
40.
Yep. Thing is, a part of me wants to say yes, but because you were actually in the nobility, you had people to do that. You had people to do that, and
Yeah,
you're not really sure what what's going to be left of those when they've been cut into actual jewelry pieces.
Yeah, and I was going to say I've only ever seen the end product, so
Well,
again, don't know. I know what a piece of jewelry roundabout would be worth, or at the very least what it would match with. But as far as the raw material,
how many diamonds were there again?
I didn't give a specific number, but there was sort of probably about 10 in various sizes, not hugely big though.
Yeah.
I think that's not. That's fine.
At which point you get Alice stepping up, taking a platinum, putting it on the counter. I know you make your own pieces here. I want platinum's worth of whatever chips and odds and ends that you don't need. Larger ones if possible, but the stuff you can't use in jewelry. Good selection of pieces. He gives a nod and says, very, very good, Mum. Just a moment. And comes back with a smallish bag of basically gemstone chips. She opens it, pokes around in it. Yeah, I think that's worth my platinum. And then puts another 2 gold on. For your trouble. And gives a nod. We done?
I think so. Unless there's anything.
Nope.
Alright.
As I'm heading out the door, lovely work, by the way, and I'll keep going.
Gives a nod. When you've exited the shop, she hands the bag of bits and pieces to Hazel. I understand that your little brother Oscar makes jewelry. There's some pieces for him to practice with.
Aww.
Thank you.
Aww.
Ava looks a little disgruntled though. Doesn't say anything.
What's up?
Huh?
You have face.
No, I don't.
I know face when I see it.
If she says you have face, you have face.
It's nothing. Don't worry.
If you're sure, but see, the thing is, if you have face and then you don't tell me why you have face, I can't fix it.
Well, I know you didn't mean to, so it's fine, but you kind of cut the grass under my feet in a way.
Squeeze me?
You pull the rug from under me as well.
Yeah, I figured that it's a fascinating, I guess, Cedar Grove-ish thing, but just because I did the thing, there's still a piece missing. Still needs like wire and bits and pieces, and Zana apparently sews, so there's bolts of cloth. It's just as we were there, and besides, I wanted to make hi snooty muckamuck over there actually have to deal in something small and petty.
Yeah, and actually, now I think about it, it doesn't really counteract what I had in mind.
From what I'm understanding from these 2 points at Darwin and Hazel, it's the thought that counts no matter what you do. So,
Yep.
but I mean, I'm gonna be bringing little things for the kids anyway when we go. It's just that some of them I kind of want to be surprises, and some of them not so much.
Makes sense.
And just haven't picked yet. A couple of them are hard to shop for.
How many siblings have you got again, Hazel?
Wait, let me think about this. It was Keth, Ramas, Mela,
Yep.
Dawn,
Yep.
Skylar, Oscar, Evan, Lissy, Candor, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody.
July?
She's sort of ancillary, but yeah, I guess.
Good grief.
Beaming with pride.
But yeah, Keth is all new seeds and farming stuff. I'm gonna pick up something from Egref because they do the horticultural sciences as well, so that's a thing. Zana, I'm thinking if we can find a cloth seller on the way back, might see if I can pick her up something fancy from the Southern Lands to work on. Mela, if we have enough time, I want to get one of those puppies.
Yee.
But you know, stuff like that. A couple of things I've already got, but people like Dawn are really hard to shop for because they haven't found their thing yet. Oh, speaking of, I guess it is actually about that time. It does a bit of a rummage and in bag that she's carrying and pulls out a few different boxes, you know, one for each of you. Ava's is quite small.
What are these?
They are presents.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Ooh.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason?
Nope.
I believe the thing in common is you shouldn't have.
But I could.
And I will.
For Darwin, it's actually quite utilitarian for the most part. It's new strings for his viol.
Oh.
Ooh. And I'll reach in and just sort of run my fingers along the strings just to see.
I mean it's good. It's good cat gut.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, there's also a new shoulder strap for the waist strap really for the drum.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nicely embroidered kind of thing, which is just purple with silver music notes.
Oh, it's lovely. I'm like,
Yeah, Ava.
it's one of those. I'm smiling so hard, I look like I'm embarrassed because I'm like pink, but it's just because I'm happy.
Yeah, Ava's is small, not. It's kind of shapeless and squishy, and wrapped in paper. When she opens it, it is a short-skirted dress. It would probably come to just about her knees. It's in the it's in a sort of a forest green with this gold embroidery of leaves. It's very Cedar Grove style. Long sleeves with bits on the cuffs.
It's beautiful.
I saw it and it kind of screamed Cedar Grove at me, and you know,
Yeah, it does.
as I understand it, we're going to be standing in front of the governor of Egref, and apparently there's going to be riddles and shit, and I figured you might want something to wear that speaks of where you're from.
Hmm.
Without being
Okay.
obvious about it, you know. Naya's is larger and also kind of squishy. When he opens it, no, larger. It's a decent sized parcel. When he opens it, it's a kind of a cuff length brown leather jacket. Well, coat, really. You're gonna get cold.
Yeah. Oh, Miss
Hazel's
Jelly.
Hazel's is actually a small box. Small, kind of flat-ish. It's a locket.
Pull, carefully closing box into bag.
When she opens it, there are two. They seem to be enchanted pictures. Currently, one is of Kezia and the other is of Clarity.
And hypersonic.
Think that's its default setting, but think of two people. No,
I'm marking off a point of damage for that.
No, seriously, think of two people.
Briefly, Mom and Mama.
Pictures of Mom and Mama.
Oh.
It'll attune to you properly and do that a bit smoother as things go, but
So it changes into whoever you think of?
whoever you want or need to see.
That's beautiful.
Just gibber squeeing noises that may occasionally veer into hypersonic, back to normal, into hypersonic, back to normal.
If you want one of those, by the way, Ava, there's a stall on the way to the train station. It's kind of it's an amulet of home, basically. It's an anti-homesick thing. You carry it with you, and it will show you the people that you miss.
At which point you just see Darwin kind of just quietly just.
I'll point it out to you on our way back.
Oh.
I wonder if it works if you don't remember them.
I don't think so. I think you need
Probably
to be able to
not,
see them
no.
in your head.
Sorry, Nay.
Not your fault.
Doesn't mean he can't. That doesn't mean he can't commiserate.
I mean, you can
I'm
try.
moving over.
You never know.
I'm gonna move over to Ava. Half put it on. Go, Ava, help!
Cammy, yeah.
Come on, it's starting to get late.
Oh yeah, it is. Actually, we should probably start heading.
Yeah, Remi was probably maybe waiting for us by this point.
Well,
May very well be.
might be,
or-
might not. Tritherion is retribution waits for no man,
Hmm.
and it doesn't exactly have opening hours. So I guess it all depends on what it is she had to do and what rights. There's depending on how faithful you are, there's 3 different rites that you can do right at sunup, right of midday, and right at midnight.
Oh. Okay.
That one tends more toward the more vengeance-y end of the scale. So,
That makes sense.
but we've got the room anyway. So
Yeah.
If nothing else, then she'll have me waiting for her. Nothing else.
Wisely not saying a word.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, that's about as far as I'm going with that one. Come on. If we're
I
lucky,
just exchanged a glance with Darwin.
Yeah, just a slight smirk, and we continue on.
if we're lucky, we can get a nightcap in.
Yeah.
And we're coming to about break time, and what we'll do is we'll break until Noms is out of his game and able to join us, at which point I will handle what Remi had to ask of the Temple of Tritherion. But we'll see you in a few minutes and continue on with trying to leave Belarys. But it's such a nice place, though.
It really is. I do
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy it. I was this
So-
close to possibly getting into some hijinks, but then I decided better of it because we don't have that. We
We've
just
got-
don't have that kind. We don't have time. We don't have time.
That's very
I mean, in character, we don't have time.
Right, right.
true. Anyway, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
And we're back, and we have a noms, which means that while these guys are doing their shopping, mildly ticking off elderly life domain clerics and generally shopping, Remi has headed off to do god stuff, as she put it. Over to you.
Remi heads for the Temple of Tritherion.
Yeah, the Temple of Tritherion in Belarys is, as you would imagine, very much a function before form kind of a place. It's plain gray stone, solid, looks like it could survive the end of the world kind of building. And inside it's quite plain, little colder than you'd expect, and not overly busy. There's there's a couple of merc individuals at prayers, and grizzled human woman, fairly tall, fairly broad, might have been a paladin or cleric of war at one point. Short gray hair, scar running down the neck. And she looks over at Remi. Vague bit of recognition there, because you would have gone for basic lessons, but this was not your tutor.
Remi makes sure her pendant is
Yeah,
out, and
and
she
that
steps
well,
up to
that's
the woman.
greetings.
Greetings. I am looking for the High Cleric.
Lucky you found her.
Good. I'm Remi Crustwind, Paladin of Tritharion. I
Yeah.
have
I can see that.
there is a theological question or two
Um,
that I have. If you
would
have
you would you
a few moments.
would you like to sit somewhere and speak privately?
Yes. Thank you.
Come with me. And she leads down a corridor into a small, simple sitting room kind of thing. It's mostly just a few chairs around a circular table. Gestures to a chair and sits opposite the one she gestured to. Theological
Yeah.
questions. I admit we don't get that many of those here.
Yes, I wasn't expecting it either, but kind of sits up very straight. I am on a quest from Tritharion.
I know your quest. Your quest is
Okay, good.
known to us.
That makes it a lot easier. And in the process of that, I think I made a pact with Pelor and or one of his solars, and I'm not exactly sure of the broader theological implications of that. I mean, I'm imagine if Tritharion was angry, he would have let me know by now. But
You would not still have the abilities you have if you'd done something direly wrong, but without knowing the nature of the pact and what lies behind it, I can't answer that question.
I mean, well, I acted within what I have been taught, within what was the right choice to make, even particularly within his lessons of liberty and retribution. It's just
Okay, I sense a certain amount of reticence about this, but unless you meted out vengeance, and in so doing sealed this pact, you did not necessarily act within the auspices of the vows that you gave to Tritharion.
it
You
was
are
more
you're going to have to
giving
be specific.
someone died because of our actions. Not directly, but there was a dragon involved. And she died in the process, and we found her, and our cleric of Pelor performed the rite of resurrection, and I didn't ask her to do that, but that's her thing. I wasn't about to stop. And Pelor asked for something in return, and my contribution was everything that I hadn't already given to Tritharion for this immediate quest. And then afterward, she's fine now. And afterwards, a Solar appeared and told us that he had intervened because our cleric should not have been able to wield that sort of power. And he also taught me some of his magic, which has been very useful. And I expect it to continue to be useful, but I've never met anyone who could wield the blessings of two gods. But I I haven't been through the same kind of lessons that you have.
Okay. I see where the concern is, I think. But I do have a question, which I am hoping that I do not have to use an ability that I have, which would oblige you to be perfectly honest about it. The fact that I'm not doing so is a show of trust, which I am hoping that you'll return in kind. Why did you make an offer like that? So open-ended, so much of yourself with no boundaries, no real limits beyond what you'd promised to Tritherian. Why did you do that?
Because it was the right thing to do. She had been denied events, and she was caught up in this not because she chose to, but because we pulled her into it without having given her the full picture first. And yes, we're involved, but that was not the first motivation. It was the second motivation, but it was not the first motivation. I didn't ask Hazel to do that, but she did it. Pillar answered, and I had to do something. And I didn't have something specific to give.
What you have offered to Pelor does not, as far as I can tell, infringe on what you have given to Tritherian yet. You were called by Tritherian. That doesn't end when your quest ends. When you swear an oath to a god, you swear it for the rest of your existence. You are Tritherian's sword. One of many, but you are. However, Tritherian has many aspects, much as any of the gods do. Liberty, justice, retribution. The oaths you took for Tritherian are those of retribution and vengeance. What you did was more... It bridged the gap, in a way. Pelor is also a god of justice. Many of the gods are. Pelor, Tritherian, Bahamut. What you did was not retribution. What you did was justice. But it was also life. And as much as I see you avoiding the word, it was love as well. You need to stop saying that it's retribution. I see you trying to twist it to fit your initial vows, to make, possibly to make it make more sense to you. And I understand that. But it needs to stop, because there is more to Tritherian than what you swore. It is possible that once your quest for retribution against that which would taint the material plane is over, you will take up your sword in a different cause, one that can branch out with both. As to powers granted by Solars, I've never seen it done with a paladin or cleric of another god, but I've seen it, or heard of, more to the point, of one other person. Same god, actually. Pelor is generous to those he sees as worthy. There's one other individual who may be able to answer a few more of your questions in terms of what it means for that Solar, that servant of Pelor, to be a patron to you. Of course, we haven't seen her in quite some time, so it's a matter of actually finding her.
Well, a name, and then if the god guide us to bump into each other, then
Former local, actually, Lyra Sweetwater.
is that a name Remi heard before?
Yes, it is. She's met the woman. The cleric of Pelor in Goldendale.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yes. So you got Remi just sort of going, oh. I take it the name is known.
Yep.
And not...
Remi looks backwards for a second. Yes. Yes. The hand of the gods at work, I think.
Possibly. She from what I understand from the high clerics of Pelor, she was always an interesting case. She was both more and less directly gifted from the god, if you see what I mean. But it came in quite helpful for that group, the diminutives. And if you know how to find her, which it would appear that you do, given that look, then Godspeed your way. I hope I've been helpful. This is an interesting situation.
Yes, I wasn't about to turn down any help, any blessings that I could get, but I wouldn't. I don't know if you can step on a god's in a sense.
You can't. Gods can. But, as I said, you would know if Tritherian's displeasure was upon you, because you would lose the gifts that he had given you and be named Oathbreaker. There's no middle ground there. If you had broken your oaths, you would know it.
I understand.
So I wouldn't worry too much about Tritherian being angry. He's not a long game player in that sense, if you see what I mean. He expects... I mean, liberty is one of his domains, and thus he gives his champions something of a free rein. But there's also what is just, and what is just is holding to your oaths. It sounds like you did the best you could.
Yes, I did.
And he's not going to be angry at you for having a heart.
Good. That's good.
And reaches for a flagon and pours you a beer.
Thank you.
I had a feeling you might need one.
Takes a very slow, long drink.
So let me make sure I understand this, because I or you or someone is probably going to have to speak to the high clerics of Pelor about this, because clerics who are casting magics outside of their skill and power level is something that people probably need to know.
I can tell Hazel to swing by the temple of Pelor. I mean, the Solar had warned her in no uncertain terms about that.
That's another thing. We have a solar of Palor walking the material plane at the minute. I get the impression, because of your vows, that you probably have places to be. So just let me make sure I understand
Yes.
this. This individual, first of all, the fact that a solar got involved and intervened and helped allow this.
Well, also, the woman who was resurrected is his daughter.
Ah, Azamar.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another thing. We haven't had very many of them. They're not exactly common these days. The last time they were was, well, the last time something like this happened. This I heard things about well, the southern lands for a start. I know it's been going on for a while, but it's not until recently that you've heard of the Azamar. And not for several hundred years, anyway. So that would explain why. Okay, that makes a certain amount of sense. How long had she been dead?
A day, maybe.
And I take it that your cleric is one of the ones that, at her current level of ability, is one of those ones where she has to cast within a minute, or... Yeah, Remi would know, yes.
Yes.
Well, the fact that she can do that means that she would be able to do it someday, so that's enough for a report, I think. Do we have a name for the cleric?
Hazel Hearthheart.
Oh, fucking hell. A Hearthheart. It had to be a Hearthheart. Of course it had to be.
Remi just takes another drink.
Yep, she pours her own and chug.
I see the names getting around.
In impossible things, of course it was a Hearthheart. I'll refrain from asking the name of the Azamar. That's another one we seem to have avoided, although someone's going to be grumpy about that, because I think people would like to have a bit more of a record, but again, liberty and justice, and it's not fair to have that name floating around without the permission of the person whose name it is.
That is... She would definitely appreciate that. / be very cross otherwise.
It just gives you a bit of a smirk. Okay. That's helpful on a number of levels, and I hope I've eased your mind somewhat.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and I'd recommend if you get a chance, which it seems you will, have a chat with Cleric Sweetwater. She should be able to answer a few questions about what it means to have that kind of pact with something that's not an archfey or an eldritch abomination or any of the other things you can apparently make pacts with.
Remi wrinkles her nose.
Honestly, you get some... It's strange. You get some quite good people who somehow manage to tap into the power of eldritch horrors. I've never understood it.
It definitely sounds like something.
Diplomatically put. Did you have any further questions?
No.
Okay. Obviously, the temple is yours if you'd like to say a prayer to Tritherian in a consecrated space to, I don't know, to thank him for his understanding or something, I don't know. I am going to go and write up a report because gods know I'm not going to deliver this bullshit to the Temple of Pelor in person. I refuse. They can come here if they want to flail at me.
That does explain a lot about Hazel.
To be fair,
Remi-
they don't.
Remi
They,
already nods.
yeah, they don't. They don't. To be fair, they don't normally flail. This is just excessive circumstances. But then again,
That's fair.
you're on one of those quests. I think excessive circumstances are going to follow
Yeah.
you around more or less wherever you go.
Yes, they are.
So thank you for helping of your complicated bullshit.
Thank you for your reassurances.
That's
Just
fine. Do
Stands and bows her head.
she gives you a nod. No, but seriously, do spend a couple of minutes in prayer. We do have to at least do do the prayer equivalent of that nod that you just gave me once in a while. He approves of that kind of thing.
Of course.
And she takes her beer and steps out into what, when she opens the door, is a cluttered little office, and shuts the door and leaves you to it.
Remi downs the rest of her beer and finds an empty bit of altar space to pray at for.
Yeah, it's cleared out a bit now. It's you've got one older gentleman in very well-worn armor, in a far corner, who gives you a nod as you pass by, but then goes back to his prayers.
Yeah, she nods back and then recites a standard prayer first. And it looks up. Thank you for your understanding.
There's a sense of that you're being listened to, and very, very quietly, and probably that only you can hear, use it.
Yeah, Remi bows her head again, and she heads out.
Yeah, that didn't take quite as long as expected, so the various rooms are empty when you turn up, so if you want to sit and wait in the tap room,
Oh, what time is it?
it's getting quite late, so I mean it's long gone nightfall now, but
Okay, so she gets herself another drink, finds a table.
yeah, these guys, it's not long after that, maybe 15-20 minutes before these guys stomp in.
Stomp?
She waves them over.
Hey, Remy's back. Look.
Behold the Remi!
Hey!
I took them to that waffle kebab stand.
Ooh, that was a good choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, Hazel actually managed to down an entire one of their deluxes without going all sugar hyper.
I have the
Everything goes
Oh boy.
I have the theory she's saving it for later.
Well,
Yeah, and
she'll probably just
I
sleep
only
it
got
off.
and I only got syrup on most of my pants.
Anyway, did everything you wanted to? Did you get to do everything you wanted to do?
Yes, everything's fine.
Good.
Good.
Good to know.
But Hazel,
Hmm?
come here.
Oh.
What?
No, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Let's
With
let's
you,
let's just give them some space, okay?
Yeah. No,
So, Hazel, I was talking with the High Cleric of Tritherian, and I told her what happened in the desert,
Okay.
and what you did, what happened with the Solar appearing to us, and she was obliged to. One, she suggested I talk with Lear Sweetwater about
Yeah. If she hadn't suggested that, I would have just basically thrown you into the shrine later.
And
When we get there.
but then again, I don't think Hazel entirely understands why. I mean, it's still a fair enough, but doesn't know quite how deep that goes.
So yep. So yeah. Clearly the hand of the gods is at work there. But anyways, aside from talking with her soon, the High Cleric also is obliged to inform the Temple of Palor what happened and what you did.
Well, if they have to, they have to. That's they do what they do. They're the High Clerics for a reason.
Exactly. Just wanted to give you
What
a
did you
heads
think
up.
I was gonna do?
Well, the way she put it, she believed there would be a lot of flailing from the High Cleric of Palor once they found out.
I channeled more power than I rightly should have.
You know, it's
Your
not,
solar
not a
said as
problem.
much. There's
Just
going to
your
be flail no matter
heads
who
up.
finds out.
Remi just pats her shoulder. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. You're the one making a deal of it.
Okay. Okay.
You know, Hazel, with you guys wander back to the table, you know, Hazel makes it impossible for you guys to have a private conversation.
Ava just pretending not to have heard anything.
Alice is not going to bother.
Remi just smiles to Alice.
I'm assuming that I'm not getting pulled aside either because we're sharing a room or because I didn't get directly named.
No, you did not.
Okay. You know, if it had to go down that way, that's fine. It's just it's good to know, but since I didn't, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. Remi just leans back and drinks.
And I'm acting like I did not, like I wasn't so loud that the conversation couldn't have possibly been private.
So yeah, we have large chunks of diamond. We have some nice bits and pieces for your cleric of the forge over in Goldendale. We have various other bits and pieces, and we're heading out on the passenger train. We should get into We're leaving after breakfast. We should get into Egref around about sundown.
Didn't you want to swing by the magical pet plushie pet shop?
Yeah, but I can take a quick trip earlier because after breakfast, and I'm very much a let's greet the dawn kind of individual.
Okay.
Besides, if I desperately need to, I can nap on the train. It's not like there's a whole lot to do on those things. But it's not gonna be a cargo train this time, guys. Looking at Darvin, Froseth, Remi, and Hazel.
I like trains.
You're really gonna like the passenger trains.
Woo!
What?
I don't even know the right questions to ask. I'm sure I'll find out in the morning.
They're public conveyances. They're meant for many, many passengers. They're powered by mechanics and magic. And they run on tracks.
It's like an airship, but down here.
Well, and also they're on very specific routes because tracks. You'll see. It's cool. It's fine.
You will like trains too. I think it's time to go crash though.
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
Can we use a different word other than crash right before we get on a train?
Pessimist.
It'll be fine.
I kid.
Yeah, when they get up to the shared room, you've got Alice sort of looks over at Remi and goes, I know you probably don't do, like, the pretty, so shopping for you was a bear, by the way. But I figured everyone needs something, so here you go, and offers you a small box.
Remi looks back and forth for a moment, and she tears it open.
Inside the box is it's actually quite a plain iron bangle, which she has probably had specially made. That brand mark on the chest with the symbol of Tritherian inside, the symbol of Palor, she's had that engraved on the iron of this sort of broad bangle kind of thing with a small, it's either a garnet or a ruby in the center.
Remi takes this is a little bit more than a little something.
Look, I grew up without two pretty major things, money and friends. I have both, and one means that I can do nice for the other.
Remi goes in for the hug.
Yes, it's fade to gratitude. We'll leave it there. Yes, come the morning, Hazel and Ava are, well, Ava's briefly woken up. She can go back to sleep if she wants to, but bam, bam. Hey, Hazel, dawn prayers.
I'm just gonna turn around with butterscotch next to me.
You just sort of get a fluffy, sleepy nuzzle. She fell on the floor again, didn't she?
Hazel, stop falling on the floor.
Alice A walks in, grabs Hazel by the back of the shirt, and just carries her out the door, and sets her on her feet. I have some last minute shopping to do, and I want to get breakfast, so roof.
And I'm getting dragged along.
Yeah, still in night clothes, so yes, dawn prayers, and when Hazel is sufficiently possessed of consciousness and has done the prayer thing, she's going, tell them I'll be there, save me some breakfast, I just have a couple of bits to pick up.
Yes,
and heads on out. By the time these guys are done with dawn prayers, most of you are more or less awake. I mean, obviously, Nye has only been trancing, so you've been up for a while. Yeah.
And I'm shuffling down in the general direction of breakfast.
So,
For once, oddly enough, Darwin is pretty, like, he just kind of pops up. He doesn't do the whole, oh god, waking up thing like he usually does.
yeah,
Mostly because he's really excited to get on the train where he'll have time to string the new strings. He's thinking about that. So he's like, new strings.
Yeah, you've got your person looking at you going, this is new.
Oh, new strings.
Yes.
So I'm
Very
looking
good.
forward to putting them on. It's going to be nice.
Simple pleasures. And heads down. When Hazel gets down, she's probably the first one down, because of course dawn prayers, you've got, she sees, Andrew. Did you really think you were going to get away without saying hello and goodbye to me?
Tackle.
Actually, no, she saw it coming, she turned into bear again. So you guys turn up and see Hazel hugging this bear.
What?
I've heard of a bear hug, but that's ridiculous.
Having hi, Andre.
Poof, back
Tackle
to,
hug again.
back
I'm
to mom.
assuming.
You know the bear?
The bear turns into a rather pretty half-elf woman, a few years
Oh.
older than Hazel. Hair sort of less gold than Alice is, more sort of a platinum. Andre Hearthheart, hi.
Hi, Ava.
Druid points.
I see, I get it.
She gets to be a bear. Whatever
I
I
saw
want.
I'll be
that.
right back. 30 seconds.
I get to be a lot of things, but when she goes for hug, it was either that or moose.
Probably better for this feeling you went with bear.
Would Nye know what a moose is?
Yes. Forest, so.
Not moose.
Yes, bear. Definitely bear.
Besides, more is used to bear now.
Well, you make a very lovely bear.
You
We're
said your name was Hop Hop? You have...
we are both raised by the same mothers.
Oh!
Hazel's not the oldest exactly. She's the oldest of the current crop, sure, but
There's a lot of us.
Mom and Mama
Yes, I know that.
have been doing this for decades. There's Hearthhearts all over the place.
I see.
I wonder where Khan is at this point, or like how far he's gotten into like which city.
Well, I imagine given the time of year, he's mostly sticking around Baronsphere. Nobody makes the trek this close to winter.
Yeah,
And
but
unless-
I wonder if he
Unless they have
I wonder if he's
access
made the
to...
loop- made
Sorry?
the loop back home yet.
Honestly, he doesn't have the kinds of means to send messages and the like, so I try not to speculate, I just hope he's safe.
Okay.
And yes, Clarity mentioned you. You're Ava, yes?
Yeah, that's me.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure. So, what is it just coincidence? that you-
I live here.
Oh,
I've lived here for several years. When I grew up and reached my majority, I moved to Belarys, partially because family reputation, and currently I am, along with Clarity, house sitting for an elderly wizard who's making the trek to Demille. So we're going to be doing that for the next 2 years. He has a rooftop garden, a library that needs dusting, and 5 cats.
mm. Do I remember Clarity mentioning Andre until?
I don't think she did, actually.
Didn't she?
Maybe
Mentioned-
very briefly in passing, but not
yeah.
enough to...
Yeah, I think it was just in passing, and it wasn't really enough to probably register very much.
Well,
Yeah, the cats in the library, that's basically a Clarity magnet.
yeah.
Well, she's certainly doing fairly well, although she did come in and let me know that you were here, and something about they were here for 10 minutes and already knives are flying. It was she was amused by the whole thing,
Basically, yeah.
really.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Long
Sorry about
story.
We
that.
ran face first
it-
into people who were awful, and then those people went.
Yeah,
Sorry, you
it's been
broke
dealt
up
with.
there. You broke
We
up there.
ran into
Smeagol.
people who turned out to be really awful, and then those awful people went very, very splat.
Yep, and that's been dealt with.
That's always good to hear. Do you mind if I join you for breakfast?
Yes!
Sure.
Yes, 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 yes.
I think she wants you to.
It doesn't surprise me. It pokes down next to the Hazel and Andrew. Sorry. Yeah. She sits, and breakfast is at this point it is French toast, or what I guess would probably be Belarys toast. So
Try it. Try it while it's hot. It'll
Hey, look,
be
nice
far
to meet
nicer.
you.
yeah,
Trust me.
the most of the rest of you have had this. It's considered fairly fancy as far as it goes. So, Darvin and Ava would have had this, and of course, the Hearth Hearts make it relatively often. But there's that bacon, that kind of thing. And Alice comes in along the rest of it, and yeah, once you see them side by side, there aren't really that many similarities between Alice and Andre. Alice's hair has more of a gold tinge to it. Her eyes are a lighter, clearer blue, and there is just something that screams radiant about Alice that you recognize more when you see somebody who fits the basic descriptor. And you'd be Andre. Yes, and you would be Alice. Good to meet you. Likewise.
Andrew. Alice took us to that weird sweet kebab place.
Oh, the waffles. Oh, you've been hanging around with them long enough to recognize what Hazel would probably like, then.
I got a
Yeah.
whole one.
This does not surprise me.
And did not go hyper.
We know. We didn't expect that either.
I was fine.
I
What?
made that same face
Is that
too.
weird?
Are you feeling all right, Hazel? Or
I'm
is
entirely fine.
Or is it just that you've hit such levels of hyper that sugar no longer makes a difference?
I think that's probably what.
Yeah,
what
that
it
sounds
is,
more like
actually.
what it probably is. Yes.
That's a scary thought.
And I'm the one that actually attacks with sound.
Yeah, well, that's just joy. That's just me being happy. Extremely happy, mind you.
Fair enough.
Clarity sends her regards, by the way. She's feeding the cats, so she probably won't be able to see you off, but she did want to let you know that she was thinking of you.
Vibrating Hazel.
It quietly elbows Remi. If I ever get that way too cute, just smack me upside the head, okay?
Duly noted.
I like to be a little more low-key about that kind of thing. Yes, breakfast happens. There are amusing tales of Hazel's youth for the two or three that haven't heard them yet, up to and including the time that Hazel climbed a tree, got cold and shrugged her coat on, buttoned it up with a branch around a branch, and then the branch underneath her cracked, so there she was hanging.
Just wiggle, 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 wiggle. Also, just out of curiosity, I would not recommend baking any blueberry pies for clarity for a fair amount of time. Speaking of hijinks and
At which point, you've got Andre saying, "No, actually, she recovered from that."
oh, she did.
Oh no, she said she got over it more or less straight away.
Oh, okay.
There was a pie eating contest at the market fair at Goldendale. She managed 3 of them, but much like Hazel before her, that proved to be a bit much. Although at the very least, Clarity was able to find a bush to relieve her stomach of its burdens, rather than Hazel, who relieved her stomach of its burdens all over the kitchen table and floor.
And I think one of the cabinets, if I remember correctly.
She
It's
was
scattered.
she was 8. It was a lot of pie.
Yeah.
A lot more pie than I should have had.
A lot more pie than I think you could have held.
Also, as to contest, Jenna won again.
She does that, yes. And then
Jenna is like a walking, talking furnace. Things go in, and we don't know
amazing
where they
things
go,
come out.
because awesome comes out instead.
she then proceeds
that.
to explain. We'll tell the tale of one of the when Hazel was first among us. She was very eager to please. She hadn't come out of the best situation.
That hasn't changed.
Well, she hadn't. Yeah, she hadn't come out of the best situation, and she just really wanted to be helpful. And when Mom and Mama said that they wanted some honey, she'd got the idea that honey came from bees, and unfortunately, she did not know the difference between a beehive and a hornet's nest.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that was pointy. That was not fun. It was very pointy.
That was her running across the running across the yard for the horse trough, screaming, "Not bees! Not bees! Not bees!"
And there was a lot of not bees. There were
So lucky they
many
didn't sting you.
not bees.
Oh no, they stung her.
Oh, they did.
They stung her a lot.
I was purple.
How did you survive?
Not all of them stung her, and as we found out a little bit later on, Mom has cure wounds.
Yeah.
You really haven't changed since then. It's like Hazel.
Funnily enough, she has got a little bit more stable. Let's give her credit where it's due.
Oh yeah.
She's
Fair,
just
fair.
she's
This
just
is good.
she's just very determined to help.
And
Which
I
isn't
just meant that at her core, she's not.
No, at her core, she is an absolute sweetheart who will go to the ends of the earth to ensure people have what they want and need. She just needs to continue to learn moderation, that's all. Give Hazel hair a little ruffle.
It's getting better about it. I haven't seen any broken cockery in some time.
Hey!
Look, I'm trying to give you a compliment. Chill.
You, sir, are the master of the backhanded compliment.
No kidding! Every single time he wants to say nice things, he brings up the crockery! I am going to put the fingers back in those ears! And they're going to stay there for like an hour!
Before or after I'm a bunny?
Speaking of which,
Oh, God.
Which
Probably
unfortunately I
after.
still can't find.
As soon as the phrase "for like an hour" came out, I immediately thought of the bunny.
and that's for 4 hours, so he's going on the train like that.
Oh, no.
Oh boy. So,
Yeah, Clarity told me about that.
I hope he
Yeah.
finishes breakfast.
Oh yeah,
he
no, I
got
was well
through.
done.
He got through most of it.
Yeah, I was well done.
At which point you got Alice going, "Well, this has been great and everything. We gotta go. We need to get our train."
Yes.
to Egref. I wonder, what did
What?
Mom make there?
She never said.
Ooh.
Anyway, it gives Hazel a kiss on the forehead. You be good, and if you can't be good, be careful. Or
I'll try to be both.
maybe more if you can't be careful, be good. It's easier for you to manage that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Alice A sort of scoops up Darwin and goes, "You're going back in the flitty bag." Thump.
Just curls up, takes a nap.
Well, not much else you can do really at this point.
I mean, he foomped on a full stomach, so yeah, he's just gonna pass out.
Yeah, they head out, and it's about it's a little ways to the train depot, which is a nice sort of a building. Most of it's sort of columns and a glass roof, but there's a little ticket seller, and Alice is just like, "Go, wait, I'll deal with this." And
Remi goes.
you hear her going, "Okay, we're gonna have one more, but," and holds up the rabbit, sleeping rabbit.
Yeah, I was about to say he's sleeping through this.
He's going to turn into a human. Just trust me on this. I'm trying to give you more money. Why are you giving me that look? Stuff money back.
I was thinking this situation, but Remi was not going to say anything.
So eventually, as this train, it's a sleeker train than the cargo hauler you guys had. It's a bit more Amtrak-y looking. Sort of silver with the long, thin blue crystals sort of embedded into the sides of what would be the engine car. Doors sort of slide open, and you peer in, and you see seats 2 by 2 by 2. Comfy looking things too. Alice A turns up and goes, "You would not believe the shit I had to put up with to get an extra ticket so that we don't have Darvin getting lobbed off the train halfway through and he turns back into a human."
Thanks, Odyssey.
Yeah, we heard part of that.
No offense, guys, but I wasn't going to leave you guys to explain.
Probably safer, yeah.
Thanks.
No. She just looks at Nia and just, no.
You're about to say a thing, and it's gonna be a thing.
Okay, so this is and this is a day trip car, so you've got the seats, you've got the last car is an observation car, so the walls and the ceiling are glass and you can see the countryside going by, which is not hugely recommended unless you don't mind watching things go past at speed. And there's a dining car, so we can get lunch.
Yay! So, I'm going to make sure that I know where I'm sitting, and to the observation car.
Yeah, when
Should
he's
someone go with him?
Following?
she's probably going to the observation car because she be like that sometimes.
Should someone go with him?
Following?
God. I'll go with them. I'll keep an
I'm gonna sit and make sure that our seats are okay.
Take my seat, please. I'll be back in a bit.
And Alice A just sort of curls up by the window and takes Bunny Darvin out and sits him on the seat. Still asleep, probably.
Just Buddy laid out like a complete flopped out mess.
Yeah. And yeah, when as you guys reach the observation car, which really is like being in a greenhouse with seats. And as you get in there, the train does start moving, and you can because you don't pick up speed right away. You get to see all the architecture of Belarys as you truck on by.
Just head poking through the door, looking around carefully.
It's basically leaving a city. It's the look of leaving a city, as seen from an observation car.
99999, come here. Grab. into the rest of into the center of the area.
How fast does this thing go?
Really fast.
Oh, we probably want to get to our seat before it gets super.
Actually, Hazel knows it's a pretty smooth ride. It's airships that are the problem.
Yeah. No, you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. Only airships do the whole directions thing. Here,
Alright, if you say so.
completely fine.
Kind of trying to peer out the back and look at the tracks.
They're effectively train tracks.
What if something ends up on one of those?
They
Then
usually
more than
don't like it.
Then more than likely, whatever it is, if it's not big enough to stop this giant thing, it's just gonna.
Basically.
Got it.
There will
And-
probably be bits everywhere.
And by the time you guys have decided the fate of anything that is foolish enough to end up on the tracks, there's a slight lurch, nothing that's really gonna jostle too much, and things start speeding up.
Woo!
You see the coast on one side and a blur of countryside on the other.
Ava actually just goes, she's a bit scared of speed, so she's like, oh god. It's actually going really fast.
This is awesome!
I'm not sure elves were meant to travel this fast. He says, clutching the back of a seat.
Yeah, Ava's kind of like that too. She's like,
This is why I like trains.
I'm
And
not sure I'm gonna be super fond of this way of traveling.
This is why everywhere in Baronsphere needs trains.
Should we go back to our
Right.
seats?
I think I'm going to go back to our seats now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be right behind you in a bit.
Don't get into any trouble.
it's
How
easier.
much trouble should you get into on a train?
It's Hazel.
Let's not find out.
Exactly.
The speed is easier to take when you're actually in the train proper. While there are still the windows, there is the feeling of ceiling, and it lends a little bit more in the way of security, and also means that you don't have to look out the window if you don't want to.
So we're doing. So the seats are pretty much like.
It's sort of you know that thing where you've got two and then two facing.
That's what I was trying to indicate.
Yeah.
Trying to decide between the seats facing forward and the seats facing backwards. Forwards.
So
You're
when
just
I
gonna take
finally
the ones where
turn
you
up,
don't see the speed.
The feeling of going forwards at great speed is foreign enough. The feeling of going backwards at great speed would probably be trouble.
Yeah.
I turn up, I'm basically prancing.
Yeah,
And
you'll have also pranced through the dining car while you were doing that. Incidentally, you guys were a little too were following the Hazel to notice, but it's actually the kind of thing that if Ava had been paying attention is more. It's kind of like a cross between the two rows of facing seats with a fancy sort of dining table in the middle, tablecloths and everything, and sort of a food and drinks bar in sort of one corner.
very Amtrak.
It's not uncommon for here either, if you're taking a particularly long trip. Yeah, and when you guys get back, there's apparently a night version of this where they've got the cars with actual little rooms with bunk beds.
Ooh.
Maybe
Yeah.
one day, Hazel.
Baronsphere
night.
needs trains.
What? What? Nye, what's the look?
Neither
I-
of these
I ju-
two.
I just said or one night. You said maybe one day. I said what? Never mind.
Right.
He
I-
made a joke.
No, he didn't. He tried to.
Tried to make a joke.
I'm so glad I was asleep for that.
Neither Ava nor Nye really knew what to make of the observation place. That was really cool.
What I know is I don't like speed.
Gotta go fast.
It's useful. Look at it this way: it's useful to get where you're going.
Yeah, but when you're not used to it.
Yeah, I
Gotta
can
go
see that.
fast.
Actually, I probably. Oh well. We'll wait till Darwin wakes up at least.
For what?
Level up stuff.
Oh. Why do you need Darwin to be awake for that? Or are you
So I don't
showing
have-
off?
I was just going to brief everyone, so I feel showing off certain things on a train is a bad idea.
Yeah. To be fair, there's not really any desperate need to brief people on the train. We'll leave it until we've got everybody, because remember, while Froseth is with you, Antheus is not.
This is true.
So, yeah, Darvin wakes up and becomes human just in time for lunch, but of course, he's on the seat next to Alice, sprawled out, so all of a sudden you've got Darvin basically kicking her into a wall. Ah!
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry.
I was hoping you'd come back curled up. Ow.
Sorry. Sorry. I don't really have control of that.
If you'd been awake, I would have put you on the floor, but all I could do was
Yeah.
hope, basically. And I didn't want to
Sorry.
wake you up.
Do either of you need magics?
No, I'm fine. Just a bruise. However, you are getting lunch. Pointing at Darvin.
Come on, Darvin.
You just hear.
Grab it. Yoink.
Well,
Come on, Darvin.
I turned bunny with a full stomach, digested while I was asleep, and then went from small stomach to big stomach that is now empty. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
But this is more Alice
Oh.
going, you're getting me lunch.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, it's a good thing.
Any
you're-
particular
you're-
preference
Oh,
There's
other
not
than just what
there-
they're having? What they have?
what they have. There's not usually that much choice in. Use
Gotcha.
your judgment. Use your own discretion, and see how well you know me.
Audible gulp.
I'm following him. I gotta see this.
I'll go too and give a hand.
So yeah, I'll just head on to where is the dining car, guys?
This way.
I was
Grab,
asleep.
yoink.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, you've been.
Yeah, you're getting tugged along by a hazel.
And it's going. I've got to watch this, and we should be sitting in the dining car for this anyway. Come on. And yeah, you see the little sort of food and drink bar. Appears to be a half elf standing behind it and going, "Can I help you? You weren't on before, were you?"
He was the bunny.
It's complicated. He has his ticket.
Magic happened. He's a bunny about half the time.
Not that long, but yeah, okay. Well, anyway,
You know what I mean?
Do you want food? Damn it!
Yes.
Please.
oh. Please excuse my strange but lovable non-forest friend.
yes,
Dude.
I would like some lunch, please.
Dude,
Thank you.
I grew up in Belarys. I'm non-forest for days. And shoves a menu with Darvin. And then just, I'm not paid enough for this. It's basically a small selection of sandwiches. There appears to be banish all thoughts of cut my own throat dibbler when I say this, but there is sausage in a bun.
Thank you, because my brain would have went there too.
It was,
As soon as
that
you
was
said it,
mostly for noms, but that too. But yeah,
I've read all but the last two or three.
I've lost track. But anyway,
CMOT.
yeah, so, and yeah,
so yeah,
for sides there is the what you guys would know as chips, crisps.
mhm.
Basically, they call them potato paper.
I love it. So yeah, I'll just grab. I'll just pick out a sandwich. For me, just keep it simple.
Potato paper.
Yeah.
And the potato paper. And
Yes.
yeah, well, and another one for Alice.
I games if they have anything spicy, she likes.
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly what I was about to ask. Thank you.
For Alice, you know her well enough. Spicy, warm, and she's very much carnivore. So
Yeah.
the sausage in a
basically just-
the sausage in a bun would probably be the
Yeah, that was my thought. There's the sausage. Ask if they had any kind of extra spicy thing they could put on it, and the crisps, just for a little texture.
I
On the
gotta
side.
try this.
I take it also the spicy.
I'm just having a simple sandwich
Oh,
and some crisps
question.
myself.
What does this place do with the whole drinks thing?
We there's juices and water, tea, coffee.
Anything resembling mango?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need.
Just water will be fine for me, thank you.
But he said,
We'll just say I mean sandwich or sausage in a bun depending on preference. Alice and for when the two for one for Alice, one for Hazel, comes out with this bottle of bright red substance, spicy tomato sauce.
So all that gets brought over.
Ooh, bun sausage.
And I'm
Adds
just
"What?
nom.
I'm just.
You did-
I'm
you did good.
mimicking.
thank you.
Yeah, it's 2 gold total, by the way, because even in this world, Royal food is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm mimicking Alice with the additives and stuff.
Yeah, basically yours comes with and you get the regular tomato sauce, the spicy tomato sauce, the mustard, and the whole thing is covered with sautéed onion. So she's like spicy tomato sauce, mustard, numph.
Yeah. Hazel's like puzzling at it for a moment. Then just,
I think I'll have one of those, but much less spicy, please.
Then use the regular tomato sauce.
And coffee.
Wow, cool. And yeah, you get a cup of coffee. Yeah, the entire thing, lunch for all of you, comes to 2 gold total. Because again, railway food's expensive.
That's good
'Cause you're-
spicy.
Because you're a captive audience.
Spice
And
win.
yeah, it's kind of a disappointment compared to some of the other spicy stuff you've had. But as Alice explains, this is for mass production. Some people say they want spicy and they don't. Offers some of the burn lichen.
A little bit, like right at
Yeah,
right at the like
sprinkle.
latter third.
No. And yeah, after lunch and more trying to entertain oneself on the I mean, there's an occasional blur of town, but mostly it's coast on one side, fields on the other.
I'm just enjoying the whole coastline flying by.
I'm too busy with my viol and my new strings.
I'm also looking out at the coast.
I have butterscotch bouncing around my feet. And on my lap.
No,
I shared at least one bite of sausage with Flitty.
Yeah, I did some of my sandwich too.
Yeah, Flitty basically subsists off the scraps that other people do leave for him. So that's
Just food yoinkage.
no.
Yeah, I stopped trying to get Flitty's own portions when Flitty let it be known that Flitty preferred the
You get a
sharing.
lot of
So
people's
that was like,
plates, yeah.
okay, I can deal with that. But then he's always making sure that he makes sure that Flitty gets at least some from his.
And as the sun starts to set, you start, if you're looking sort of out the window forward, instead of horizon, you see cliff face. Pretty much as far up as the window lets you see.
Oh boy.
And there's already lights starting to light up, fairly high up as well.
Mhm.
So you've got, you clearly got some fairly high buildings. Some of them actually appear to be carved into the rock face. Those of you with the elven eyes, etc. You started to slow down now, so you're starting to just you find that at this point you're on a raised, your tracks are on a raised platform, so you're not only fast but slowing down, but you're also up.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And
oh
you're
boy, oh boy,
coasting
oh boy.
past buildings that are higher than the highest trees that Naya would have had back home. So you're actually occasionally looking in windows and as you go by, and some of them, and you get a very brief flash of a small child of some description waving as you go past, but it's only a second there and gone. As you're continuing to slow, there's a gap in the buildings, and you see this massive sort of pyramidal kind of building. Looks a bit more like the Inca temples than anything else, with a very flat, large bottom. But at this distance, you can see that there's 4 obelisk-like pillars, one at each corner of the roof. Those of you who have seen the throne rooms of the various claws of Bahamut will know that that would be where Calatiel keeps his mirrors, and thus his communication with the with the rest of the claws.
Bounce, 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 bounce. Like it's Hazel at maximum enthusiasm right now.
Remind
Hazel.
me,
I think that
you
sugar's
guys have
finally
been.
kicking in.
From what I remember, these guys stopped for like a stopover at like dawn, so they won't have seen the main train station.
Yeah.
They would have seen the goods and services, well, the goods dock basically.
Yeah, we got to the bagel shop and that was about it.
It was not a bagel shop. It was D&D Mickey D's. Mickey D&D's.
Mickey D&D.
D&Ds.
I love you.
Yeah, Mickey
I need to
D&Ds.
hear about this later.
You'll probably eat there later, but
Yep.
but
Yeah,
as
Hazel
as
just full on.
as you're having that particular conversation about where they did and did not stop, you come up to this beautifully architectured sandstone and stained glass building, which you drive sort of into. The roof is entirely stained glass, so as you're slowing down through it, you're basically driving through a rainbow and pillars that are lit gold by the setting sun and the light coming through. And
You don't get stuff like that back home.
you pull to a stop at a platform, marble floors. There's another platform not far, but there's no train at it yet.
And we are off the train, or at least getting off right now.
Yep, getting off the train, gathering bits of luggage, and coming out.
Still
and,
made a bounce, 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 bounce.
And as you step towards what appears to be the main building, it really is like it's like Grand Central Station and then some. The windows are all stained glass, and they all seem to be of some ancient hero of story and song. The floors are marble. There's brass chasing everywhere. The place gleams. And it's crowded. There's an awful lot of people going through. There's clearly more train docks in that direction and signposts that are, listing cities that Remi vaguely knows are cities further north. But
Doing that whole never been to Grand Central before spin around.
yeah. And there's a big old timepiece that in the center that the face of it is actually mirroring the sunset sky. And you can actually see it fading towards twilight.
That is so cool.
Oh, sweet Paylor, this place is amazing!
Wow. This is far and away from the gutters of Belarys, I gotta say.
Round
You're
and
muted.
Around and
Ben, you're muted.
A place this big should be outdoors.
Grabs him by
That
the
would kind of
collar.
defeat the
Yoink.
purpose.
Don't spoil my wonder, forest boy.
No, this is. I'm wondering too. This is the biggest indoors I've ever been in. You know what I mean.
Yeah, don't talk about what it should be. Glory in what it is.
I'm over here trying to figure out if I remember what these stained windows are showing. It rings a faint.
she has to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna get in trouble for this or not, but this is new and this is spiffy and I want a new look on it. Wings. Anyone want up?
Me!
I can only take
Hell.
one.
Take Darvin. He's the best at.
At which point she turns around, looks at you two, then looks at Remi. Up?
No,
I push him forward.
Take
Put
Darwin.
forward.
I think the people have spoken. It grabs her under the arms and whoop!
Away!
There are stairs, and some of the hustle and bustle just stops as Alice
Well.
with the golden wings lighting up the building more than the. It looks like little suns trapped in glass lighting the place, not candles or torches or anything like that. And it's a spectacular view from above. You see the floor, which you can't. Even with the people walking across it or stopping and staring up, you can tell that it's a mosaic, and in the big main circle, there's around the outer edge there's smaller bits depicting each of the gods, and sort of an abstract form, which from this angle you can very well see is a brass dragon, well, copper dragon, I suppose it would be, spreading out wings from the center. And at which point she sort of, Remi turns her around and goes, "This is about as public as I'm ever gonna get, so work with me here, kiss." And then lands.
Remi was gonna say Remi is not looking at the scenery as much as she probably should.
Well, she gave you a good 30-40 seconds as a look at the scenery.
Even then,
That's kind of why Ava pushed her. She had a feeling.
Yeah, at which point
Dude, she starts to comment about making a scene and it gets cut off.
Don't want to hear it. Having a good time. Lands. Besides, this is probably the one province you could. There's probably the one province you could get away with shit like this. Apparently, Calatiel is really big on the impressive in the city. So, I guess we now start looking for a place to stay and figure out how to arrange an audience with a dragon, because the last couple of times, didn't you have them arranged for you?
Pretty much.
Well, this is going to be a bit of an adventure. This is one city that none of us know anything about.
Yep.
So I recommend we tread lightly.
Tread lightly and hope that maybe they have, like, I don't know, an information kiosk or something. But as we have reached that time, we will leave your adventures in trying to find a place to stay in Egref, the riddling magitek steampunk wonderland, until next week. So at least you don't have to wait very long, when we will all of us be in the same place. Awesome. And hope that Egref doesn't break you or vice versa.
Welcome to New York City and Elon, ladies and gentlemen.
Later, guys.